Most people think sleep begins when they close their eyes, but biologically, sleep starts hours earlier. Long before your head touches a pillow, your nervous system is already making decisions about whether the body feels safe enough to fully rest. And for millions of people, something interferes with that process every single night without them realizing it. It's not always stress, it's not always anxiety. Sometimes it's dinner. Sometimes it's the late night snack that feels harmless in the moment. The bowl of cereal, the sugary dessert, the greasy takeout after a long day, the energy drink at 7 p.m. because exhaustion has become normal. Modern people often blame themselves for poor sleep. They assume they're lazy, unmotivated, mentally weak, or simply bad sleepers. But the body does not randomly malfunction. Sleep is an ancient biological process shaped over hundreds of thousands of years, and the modern nighttime environment may be disrupting that process in ways the human nervous system never evolved to handle. The strange part is that many people don't even realize their sleep is damaged. They still sleep for 7 or 8 hours. They still technically rest, but they wake up mentally heavy, foggy, irritated, unmotivated. Their body feels tired even after sleeping. Their brain never fully feels clear. Over time, this becomes their baseline. They adapt to exhaustion so completely that they forget what genuine recovery even feels like. And one overlooked part of this cycle may begin with what happens in the hours before bed. Human biology evolved around darkness, movement, unpredictability, scarcity, and natural rhythms. Food was not constantly available. Nights were quieter. Artificial stimulation barely existed. The nervous system could transition slowly into recovery mode because the environment itself supported it. But modern nights are biologically confusing. Bright screens continue stimulating the brain long after sunset. Stress follows people into bed through notifications, work pressure, and endless mental input. And food, especially modern processed food, is often consumed at the exact moment the body is trying to shift into repair. The problem is not that eating before bed is automatically bad. Human biology is far more complex than simplistic internet rules. The deeper issue may be that certain foods interact with the nervous system, metabolism, digestion, hormones, inflammation, and circadian rhythms in ways that keep the body subtly activated during the very hours it's supposed to recover. One of the biggest modern misconceptions about sleep is that it's only about the brain. In reality, sleep is a full-body event. The digestive system, immune system, endocrine system, and nervous system are all involved in a coordinated biological state change. Body temperature shifts, hormones fluctuate, the gut changes activity, blood sugar regulation changes, brain detoxification processes increase, repair mechanisms become more active. The body is not simply turning off. It is entering an entirely different physiological state, and that state can be disrupted surprisingly easily. Take ultra-processed foods, for example. These foods dominate modern diets because they are engineered for convenience, stimulation, shelf life, and hyperpalatability. But many of them are dense in refined carbohydrates, sugars, industrial fats, additives, and artificial flavor systems that may confuse the body's natural signaling pathways. When consumed late at night, these foods may create sharp blood sugar fluctuations while the body is attempting to stabilize itself for sleep. At first, high-sugar foods can feel relaxing. They temporarily increase serotonin and dopamine activity, creating a short-lived sense of comfort. This is partly why people emotionally crave dessert at night after stressful days. The brain seeks reward and relief. But biologically, the story may not end there. Several hours later, blood sugar may begin crashing. Cortisol and adrenaline can increase as the body attempts to stabilize glucose levels. The nervous system shifts into a more alert state. Even if the person remains asleep, the quality of sleep itself may become fragmented. Tiny awakenings occur. Stress hormones fluctuate. Deep, restorative sleep may become harder to sustain. This is one reason some people wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning feeling strangely alert, anxious, overheated, or restless without understanding why. They assume it's psychological, but sometimes the body is responding to metabolic instability created hours earlier. Modern humans often separate mental health from physical health as if they are independent systems, but biologically they are deeply connected. The brain constantly monitors the body for signs of safety or stress. Blood sugar instability, digestive discomfort, inflammation, and hormonal disruption all influence how the nervous system behaves during sleep. And digestion itself requires energy. When people eat large, heavy meals late at night, the body may remain metabolically active for hours. Blood flow shifts toward digestion. Insulin levels fluctuate. Core body temperature can remain elevated. Acid reflux becomes more likely. The stomach continues working long after the brain is trying to enter deeper sleep states. From an evolutionary perspective, this mismatch is fascinating. Human beings did not evolve in environments with unlimited access to calorie-dense foods seconds before sleep. Historically, nighttime usually represented vulnerability and recovery, but modern life compresses stimulation into every hour of the day. People often eat their largest meals at night because work schedules, stress, exhaustion, and convenience reshape eating patterns entirely. The nervous system never fully transitions. One overlooked factor in this conversation is artificial light. Many late-night foods are consumed while staring at screens, streaming shows, scrolling social media, gaming, working. Exposure to blue light at night can suppress melatonin production and delay circadian rhythms. Combined with highly stimulating food, the brain receives mixed biological signals. The environment says, "Stay alert," while the body attempts to prepare for sleep. This conflict may contribute to the strange, half-awake state many people live in now. They are exhausted but wired, tired but unable to relax, sleepy but mentally overstimulated. And caffeine makes this even more complicated. Many modern nighttime foods and drinks contain hidden stimulants. Chocolate contains small amounts of caffeine and theobromine. Energy drinks consumed late in the day can remain active in the body for hours because caffeine has a relatively long half-life. Even afternoon caffeine may still influence nighttime sleep architecture. The dangerous part is that sleep disruption doesn't always feel dramatic. Most people don't lie awake all night staring at ceilings. Instead, they enter a subtler state of chronic under-recovery. Sleep becomes lighter, less restorative, more fragmented. Cognitive performance slowly declines. Emotional resilience weakens. Focus becomes harder. Motivation drops. Cravings increase. Over time, people start adapting their identity around exhaustion. This is where modern culture becomes psychologically strange. Chronic fatigue has become normalized. People joke about needing coffee to function. Brain fog is treated like personality. Burnout becomes a badge of productivity. But biologically, persistent exhaustion may represent a nervous system struggling to recover in an environment of continuous stimulation. And food is deeply connected to that system. Research increasingly suggests that the gut and brain communicate constantly through what scientists call the gut-brain axis. Signals travel between the digestive system and nervous system through hormones, neurotransmitters, immune pathways, and the vagus nerve. The digestive system is not isolated from mental states. It actively influences them. This becomes important at night because digestion affects inflammation, microbial activity, and nervous system signaling during sleep. Highly processed foods may influence gut bacteria composition in ways researchers are still trying to fully understand. Diets high in refined sugars and industrialized food products have been associated in some studies with inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. While nutrition science is complex and rarely absolute, many researchers believe modern dietary patterns may contribute to broader systemic stress on the body. And inflammation itself is deeply tied to sleep. When the body perceives inflammatory stress, recovery processes may become less efficient. Sleep quality can decline, fatigue increases, cognitive clarity weakens. The body behaves differently when physiological stress quietly accumulates. One reason late-night junk food becomes psychologically powerful is because it often acts as emotional regulation. Modern life leaves many people mentally overstimulated, yet emotionally drained. After long, stressful days, highly processed foods provide temporary comfort. Sugar, salt, and fat activate reward pathways in the brain, creating a brief sense of relief. For a moment, the nervous system feels calmer, but the body keeps score. And modern life quietly reinforces this cycle. People work longer hours while moving less. Many spend most of the day indoors under artificial light. Stress no longer arrives in short bursts and disappears. It lingers. Notifications, financial pressure, social comparison, endless information, and constant stimulation keep the nervous system partially activated long after the day ends. Now combine that with poor sleep and inflammatory dietary patterns. The nervous system never fully resets. This may help explain why so many people feel exhausted and overstimulated at the same time. The body feels tired, but the brain remains alert. Researchers have also found that sleep quality is closely tied to blood sugar stability. Large amounts of sugar and refined carbohydrates late at night may create sharp glucose spikes, followed by crashes during sleep. In response, stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline can increase as the body attempts to stabilize itself. Even if someone stays asleep, the nervous system may remain more active beneath the surface, making sleep lighter and less restorative. Some researchers also believe highly processed foods may influence inflammation and gut health in ways that indirectly affect sleep quality. The gut and brain constantly communicate through hormones, neurotransmitters, and the nervous system itself. When digestion becomes stressed or dysregulated, the brain often feels the effects too. Sleep researchers have also found that deep sleep tends to occur when core body temperature slightly drops. Heavy late-night meals may interfere with this process because digestion increases metabolic activity and heat production. The body stays more physiologically active during hours meant for recovery. Alcohol creates a similar illusion. Many people believe it helps them sleep because it creates sedation. And initially, it often does. But sedation is not the same as restorative sleep. As alcohol is metabolized later in the night, sleep often becomes lighter and more fragmented, especially during REM sleep, which plays an important role in emotional processing and memory consolidation. Over time, that matters. Sleep affects emotional regulation, memory, metabolism, immune function, appetite hormones, and nervous system recovery. Some researchers now believe chronic sleep disruption may also contribute to increased inflammation, insulin resistance, reduced cognitive performance, and changes in hunger hormones that influence cravings the next day. This creates a cycle many people never fully recognize. Poor sleep increases cravings for highly rewarding foods. Those foods may further disrupt recovery. Then, exhaustion the next day increases dependence on caffeine, sugar, and stimulation just to function normally. And modern food environments may be contributing to that disruption more than people realize. One of the most biologically confusing inventions of modern life may be 24-hour food access. Humans can now consume highly stimulating foods at virtually any time, regardless of natural rhythms. The body evolved around cycles of light, darkness, activity, and recovery. But modern schedules often erase those boundaries. People eat while stressed, distracted, overstimulated, and exhausted. Hunger signals become blurred with emotional cravings and mental fatigue. Over time, many people stop recognizing what genuine rest or recovery even feels like. The nervous system becomes noisy, and nighttime may be where that noise becomes most obvious. Young adulthood is often where this becomes most visible. Many people stay awake later, eat under stress, consume more processed foods, and spend nights surrounded by screens and stimulation. Over time, the body begins adapting to survival patterns instead of recovery patterns. And because the decline happens gradually, most people never notice it in real time. They just feel a little more tired, a little more anxious, a little less clear-headed. until exhaustion